Okay, next question, straight from the Dino's Myth. Tom says, predict where the current top 8 drivers will be in 2027. Okay, so for this one, because it's top 8 drivers, I'm going to just take it on the top 4 teams at the minute, right? That's probably the smartest way to do this, which isn't really fair because Aston would be there. Actually, I can do this a different way. I'm going to take the drivers from the top 4 teams at the moment, which is kind of bastardizing this because you said top 8 drivers and Tsunoda is not a top 8 driver, but I think this is the only way to do it properly without getting really murky and without spending 25 minutes on it. So I'm going to do it this way. So starting with McLaren's 2 drivers, I think they're still there in 2027, right? Was the question? Yeah. I think the 2 McLaren drivers are still there in 2027. I think there is a situation where 2027 could be the last year for those 2 because I think the 2 of them will sign up to stay on because there's a good chance, as I've talked about with the Mercedes question, for McLaren to be the title contending car next year. And I think both drivers will stick around if they're even sniffing a title because where else do you go? Why do you jump ship at that point? So I think Piastri and Norris stay at McLaren, at least for 2027. If Piastri's won, say, 25 and 26, I think midway to 2027, Norris could be looking at a place to go. And vice versa. Could just as easily, Formula One's crazy, could just as easily go the other way. Norris could somehow pull through this season and then have the confidence where he's not questioning himself every 14 seconds and win 2026. I think it's less likely. Stranger things have happened. So I think they'll stay there. The other teams are the bigger question. I think Mercedes for 2027, I'm going to say Mercedes for 2027, I think will be, I think it's going to be Russell and Antonelli. And I'll give you a quick reason why. I think there'll be a situation where for 2026, if they're winning the championship, then I think Toto sticks with both drivers. I think if he's winning the championship, there's no reason to change when you're on the up. And bringing Verstappen in means bringing the whole Verstappen camp in, including Jos and so on, which I know Wolf gets on with right now. But think about this. The time to make that decision will be halfway through 2026. If you're winning the championship, it means you've got Russell performing well. So you maybe don't replace him, especially when you're going to have to pay huge money and there could be potential downsides. And I know Verstappen fans will be shouting, but I'm just saying, after watching Formula One for 20 years, there's been so many times where the best driver doesn't get the best seat necessarily because things just don't work out that way. They just don't. So, if you're coming off the back of 2016 and you've got Lewis in the car who's won the championships for you, even with Rosberg gone, you sign a Bottas. You don't want, another number 1 coming in and confusing things. You don't want to replace the guy who's just won a championship. That hasn't happened since Hill, if I'm right, in 1996, right? So we could get a Hill situation where Russell is leading the championship halfway through the season and gets replaced for 2027. But it's just very unlikely in modern Formula One. And I think in that situation, unless Kimi is doing really poorly, I think Toto doesn't want to give him up. So I think that'll stay the same. I'm probably the only person thinking that. So let's see. I think Ferrari is the bigger question because I don't see Ferrari being up there. And I think Ferrari could be down both drivers for 2027. But I'm going to say Leclerc leaves and goes somewhere else. I'm not quite sure where he goes, but I think he goes for 2027. So I think it's going to be Hamilton Behrman because I don't think they're going to have a better option for 2027. So I think it's going to be Hamilton Behrman. And I think Leclerc is going to have gone somewhere else, but I'm not quite sure where. Could be Audi. Audi could be on a trajectory to come up. So it could be Audi. Who knows? I don't think it's going to be Aston, and I'll explain why in a minute. Probably obvious why. I think then Yeah, so I think it's going to be Behrman unless another Ferrari up-and-comer has really killed it somewhere that I'm missing. Like maybe Bortoleto has done so good in Audi that Ferrari poach him, which doesn't make sense. But, stranger things again. And then I think Red Bull will be Lindblad and Tsunoda, right? Now that sounds crazy, but I think Tsunoda will be the experience hand. I think Red Bull are going to have a really terrible situation next year. And I think instead of promoting Hajar, they're going to push to promote this like amazing new young rookie, just praying that it is Verstappen who has just left the team. It could be Lindblad Hajar. It could be Tsunoda Hajar. But I think it'll be Tsunoda Lindblad. I think Tsunoda comes with experience. And I think the drop off at Red Bull is going to be so big next season. I think they're going to want to keep experience. And I think that Red Bull will lose Verstappen, but not to Mercedes. I think Verstappen will take Alonso's seat, who will leave Aston Martin at the end of 2026. So that would be my best guess.